All right, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the 99th PGA Championship, Quail Hollow Club. We've had a busy day here, a lot of news, but now it's time to take a moment to celebrate a career achievement that speaks to the greatest variety of excellence, and that is sustained success. And in this game of golf, one could argue that there's precious few achievements more impressive than playing in 100 major championships. And I'm pleased to be joined by two individuals who have played in 99 majors to date, and on Thursday here at Quail Hollow are slated to reach triple digits. And they'll join us in a esteemed list of legendary champions to play in 100. So, and they are, to my immediate right, Ernie Els, four-time major champion, and on my far right, five-time major champion Phil Mickelson. Gentlemen, happy 100th to you both on reaching this historical marker. We'll get to the majors in a moment, but first we want to go back in time just real quickly, all the way back to 1984, the Junior World Golf Championships in San Diego. Ernie, you had the audacity to beat the hometown kid for that title. You remember anything from that week?
Do you see how grumpy Phil looks there? No, it was quite a while ago, I can tell you. We had a great time. It was my first time ever to the United States, and what a place to go play golf at in San Diego. And I guess that was the first time we met. We played, I think we played 18 holes together there that time, and we'd never have thought that we'd be playing, basically for life, until 100th major now. So it started in a very nice, sunny, beautiful place in San Diego, and we're still going here quite a few years.
I remember that final round. I remember a shot you hit on that final round on number 3. It was a par 5, and you had it about 20 yards short of the green, 30 yards short of the green, and you hit this little skipping, spinning wedge shot that checked up about a foot from the hole, and that's when I knew you were going to be a good player. Because I hadn't seen anybody else at 14 hit that shot, and you went on to win that day, beat me and the rest of the field, and it's amazing that we've played together and against each other for so many years. It doesn't seem that long ago from those days, but it sure looks a long time ago.
All right, let's talk major championships. That's why we're here. So, Ernie, when you see a name like this right here, with only 12 legendary names, and you'll soon be joining that, what kind of emotions come to mind as you prepare to join it?
I mean, that's a heck of a list right there. I mean, those are all our mentors, our heroes. They're all on that list. The guy right at the top, obviously won the most majors of the whole list. But it means that we've done it, properly in a good way. To be on that list, looking at those people's careers is unbelievable. So, again, to go back to 84 to where we are today in 2017 and to look at that list, I think it'll take a while to kind of sink in for the two of us, but it's pretty cool.
Phil, same question. Maybe when did you become aware you were closing in on 100?
Last week, yeah. Somebody told me last week that we have a 100th major coming up. It just goes by so fast you don't think about it. It's been a lot of fun. And we get to play golf. What most people do on vacation is our job, and it's the greatest job in the world. And playing major championships is what we dreamt about as a kid. And every time I play in one, I remember back when I was a kid competing in my yard against the greats, trying to beat them for major titles. And we've both been fortunate to have won some. I know we both want to win a couple more.
Okay, let's go back to the beginning, Phil. Let's look at 1990 U.S. Open in Medina. Do you have any memories from that first major championship of yours, Phil, or any fun pairings or anything that stands out from that first week?
Yeah, I remember 8 under got into a playoff. Hill Irwin got to 8, and Mike Donald bogeyed last hole and went into a playoff at 8. I ended up birdieing the par 5. It was 14, I believe. And I got to 3 or 4 under par, and I actually felt like if I made a few more birdies, I might have a chance. And of course, I followed that with a few bogeys, and that was that. But it was a different experience to play under U.S. Open conditions, major championship conditions. Even though it rained, it was still a different feel.
Ernie, talk about Troon in '89. Any memorable pairings or sage advice shared with you that week?
It's a pretty cool haircut, though, wasn't it?
I didn't want to say anything.
Should probably hide that one, but anyway, it's out in the public now. You see the wooden driver there, you know, those were the good old days. I played practice rounds with Nick Price, Mark McNulty, you know, Tony Johnson, and, you know, I felt good about, you know, playing in the event. I remember my brother caddied for me that week. You know, we qualified at a golf course nearby, and actually we had to birdie the last hole to get into the field, and that was pretty cool. Unfortunately, I missed the cut that year by 2 shots, but I felt like, you know, wouldn't say I belonged, but I felt like I could play, you know, as a professional golfer. I was still an amateur in '89, so playing on some of my favorite turf, which is links, and playing my first major on a link style course was pretty cool.
I'm going to ask you both this question. What gave you a bigger sense of accomplishment in your major championship career, claiming that first one, or was it breaking through again and becoming a multiple major champion? Ernie, let's start with you.
I mean, just to be able to compete and to be able to be in contention, I can't tell you the feeling that gives us as players to actually have a chance to actually be able to win one of these events. You know, obviously, you know, Phil's had a great time, you know, winning 5. I've won 4, but we've been in the hunt, so to speak, many other times, and didn't quite come off. But you know, it's a hell of a thrill. It's what we play for, what we practice for, and you want to pull off great shots in the biggest stage. So you know, 94, 97 was obviously a great time for me. I was very young, so I kind of got the monkey off my back, so to speak, early on. And you know, obviously Phil, yeah, it took him a while, but when he did get it off his back, you know, he won multiple times. So yeah, but it's just it's a wonderful feeling to be in contention.
Phil, same question for you, first or second, which was a bigger legacy builder?
It took me a little bit longer to win the first, so I had more of a build-up, I think, than Ernie did, winning at such a young age. But when I finally did break through, that was really the highlight. I believed deep down that once I won one, I would win multiple. So getting that first one was really important, and you can see from the picture there, I was fairly overjoyed, you know, with that first win.
Before we hit the floor for questions, I want to ask you one question about each other, and then we'll get to the professionals here. Phil, when you think about Ernie's career and what he represents, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
It's changed over time. Now I think about what he's done for Els for Autism. That really, I believe, is the legacy that he's leaving, where he's really changing the lives and impacting a lot of lives that go through autism, and his facility that he built is just astounding. I think that's kind of the legacy that I think of Ernie Els. But as far as a player, obviously, he's got the smoothest, sweetest, most beautiful, aesthetically pleasing golf swing you could ever imagine. And it was a pleasure to watch. It was tough to emulate.
Ernie, on the cusp of 100, what do you admire about Phil and his career to this moment?
Well, you know, Phil reminds me of a player of an Arnold Palmer, a Seve Ballesteros, you know, a bit of Fred Couples, you know, a guy with a lot of talent. And he talks about my short game, but we all know about his short game. And really the pure genius that he has around the greens, and sometimes in some places he hits the ball. You know, people want to see how he gets out of there, and 90% of the time he gets out of there and probably will make a birdie. You know, I think his fighting spirit speaks for itself. You know, you guys were pretty hard on him early on in his career when you didn't quite pull it off, and then when you eventually did, as you say, you won quite a few of these major tournaments. So it means he's got a good fight within himself. And just looking at Phil's family, obviously our kids are pretty similar in age, and they've remained friends for a long time as we've competed against each other. So pretty good guy, and hell of a golfer.
Gentlemen, thanks. Let's hit the floor for some questions for Phil and Ernie, and obviously direct the question to the gentleman you'd like to hit up. Let's start with number 3 in the back right, please. Sir, you're up.
Phil, John Harris has talked a lot about the feedback you've given them on the course constructively over the last few years. Could you talk a little bit about the changes here and how you think it might affect the tournament?
I think the changes have turned out incredibly well because it's actually made the golf course a little bit tougher, but it's done it in a very subtle way rather than overdoing it, over-contouring the greens, over-contouring things. It's actually become more subtle. The beauty and the challenge of the golf course has come out. It's gotten a little bit longer by reducing one of the par 5s and making number 1 such a difficult par 4 as opposed to a birdie hole. You're going to see us eliminate 4 or 5 under par over the course of 4 rounds right there. And you put in rough now that is extremely challenging, rough around the greens, and you've got a major championship that a score very close to par is going to end up winning.
Number 2 on the left, please. Jeff?
Ernie, you have 2 legs of the career slam, and Phil, you're one of 3 players who will spend the next 3 majors chasing that 4th leg of the career slam. Just curious where the 2 of you rank that accomplishment, and what would it mean to attain that?
Well, it's been my kind of career goal that I set out when I was a kid to try to win all 4 because it shows what a complete player you are to play under all those different conditions. I think that's the real challenge because each major provides such a different set of challenges. But the greatest accomplishment for me, whether I win a U.S. Open or not, was winning the British Open. I thought that was going to be the toughest one for me, given those conditions and links golf, bouncing the ball up, and to be able to come out on top there was a kind of a career-defining achievement, I feel.
I agree. I mean, to win all 4, for one, you're going to need a special talent and a lot of determination. We're not all suited, as Phil says, to all the conditions we faced with, in the Masters, U.S. Open, the Open Championship, and the PGA. They're all very different. You have to travel, and then the last 3 are played, very close together. So to get the right form and all that stuff is pretty tough. In Phil's case, obviously, he needs the U.S. Open. Finished second 6 times, I think, now. So I think you know how to win it. So that'll be really great. I mean, there's only 5 guys on that list, and that's almost like the holy grail in our sport, to win all 4 at least once. It's been done in tennis, I think, more times than in golf, and that just shows you how difficult it is in our game to emulate that.
Far right, number 1, please.
Ernie and Phil, if I could ask both of you these questions. What single shot in any of those 99 majors are you most proud of? And secondly, do you guys sometimes wonder how many more majors you might have won if Tiger had taken up another sport?
For me, the shot out of the trees in 2010 at Augusta was the shot I remember. I feel like it was the most memorable. It was a shot that is either going to win me the tournament or cost me the tournament, and I was able to pull it off and ended up winning it. But I feel as though had Tiger not come around, I don't feel I would have pushed myself to achieve what I ended up achieving, because he forced everybody to get the best out of themselves. He forced everybody to work a little bit harder. He forced everybody to look at fitness as a big part of the game of golf, and I think that that's actually helped me with longevity, working with my trainer, Sean Cochran, for 14 years now, and trying to stay flexible and so forth to elongate the career, and I feel like that's been a big part of it, and he was a big influence on that. So I don't think I would have had the same level of success had he not come around?
Most memorable shot. That's a tough one, man. I remember the putt on the 72nd hole in 94 and 97 were little knee knockers, and I made those. But I think the most special shot was probably the 17th hole Congressional. You guys still think that I pulled it. I still say, it's my natural draw shot in there. But that was a special shot. I didn't make the birdie, but obviously the other guys made bogeys there. And on the second bit, Tiger, I'm a little different from Phil. I won a couple early on. So I was I was ready to win quite a few, if you know what I mean. And then when Tiger came in 97 and him winning the Masters in the way he did, that kind of threw me off a little bit. I thought I was really one of the top players, which I was, but that was a pretty special display of golf. And I had quite a few run-ins with him, in majors. It wasn't really very close, but I finished second to him many times. So personally, I could have obviously won a couple more. But as Phil says, this guy was so special. He's so special, and that he absolutely changed the game. He got us to really elevate our games, brought so much more attention to the sport, and obviously a lot more dollars to play for. So we got to thank him. But I could have had a couple more definitely without him around.
Let's go over 3, please. TJ.
Ernie, we could see how much the 02 Open meant to you at Muirfield. I'm just wondering if, through the years, when you've had a chance to reflect on it, how satisfying was that first Open win?
Yeah, it was very, because my record's pretty good of all the 4 majors. The Open is kind of my favorite one, and I really had it won after 12, 13 holes. Actually, after 12 holes, and then I pulled it in the bunker on 13. And although I got it up and down, I remember clearly, I started getting a little bit more uptight, where I was really relaxed before that tee shot, and I really missed a lot of shots. And obviously 16 was a big double bogey, but then I really pulled it together, made birdie on 17 and then par 18 to get into the playoff, and then got fortunate. That was a huge win, really huge win. I got fortunate there, and I knew it.
Left side here, number 2, please.
Both of you earlier mentioned how special that first major was and how important it was for your career. Do you have any advice for some of these younger players now, like Hideki Matsuyama, who are on the cusp of getting that first major, dealing with both the internal pressure and the external pressure of that first major? And do you see Hideki coming through and breaking that barrier soon?
Well, Hideki is a friend of mine, and he's been on the President's Cup, and I've played a lot of golf with him. I'm actually playing with him tomorrow and Friday, and I've been kind of on his back a little bit, pushing him a bit, because I really feel he's got something really special there. When he's on, his ball striking is incredible, like he showed on Sunday. Obviously you got to put it all together, and it's got to you need a little bit of fortune going your way also, which you're going to need this week. It's such a tough, long, heavy golf course. But he's got the length, he's got the game now, and he's got the confidence. So, but as we all know, it's not the easiest thing in the world, to win a major championship. So you need a lot of factors to go your way.
I agree, yeah.
Concur. Doug on the right, number 1. We only have time for a few more, so.
For both of you, Jack said about a year ago that one of the hardest things he faced when he started turning around 40 or so was knowing what it took to play at a high level and asking himself whether he had the energy and desire to do it. Have you found that to be the case? And as both of you have gone about and continue to compete with such a good attitude, how have you done it?
I really enjoy the challenge. I really enjoy the challenge of trying to win again and going through a lull and not having my best stuff and trying to get it back. And I've actually had a lot of fun these last year and a half, 2 years, working with Andrew Getz and trying to to get back on top. It's been a fun challenge, and I think that if you enjoy the challenge and enjoy the process, you enjoy putting in the work, enjoy putting in the time, I think that you end up doing it. But for me, golf has always been very therapeutic. It's been a great way to kind of calm my mind and have a great direction and something to focus on. And so it's been a huge part of my life ever since I was a couple years old, started playing. And I always enjoy that challenge. And so it's kind of an internal drive, I guess.
Yeah, that's a brilliant way to look at it. I think it's how you yourself look at the challenge. Obviously percentages are a little bit against you. We've both won a major in our 40s, so we've kind of done that. But now you want to continue doing that. For me personally, like with Phil, I think to keep the niggles of the body to a minimum, that is very important, obviously, because at 47, you need everything to work properly. So that's a challenge. And then me personally, I haven't played my best stuff in the last couple of years, so I'm really in the process of rebuilding my game and getting myself going again. So it's hard to believe maybe for you guys that at 47 I've still got the hunger for it, but I really do. So hopefully I can get something going, get some momentum going, and who knows.
Okay, we have time for two more, and they'll come both right here. Mark and then Karen.
This is for Phil and Ernie. With regard to Jordan and what he's been doing at his age, can you put your finger on what makes him special for starters? And as both guys have, been in pursuit of the career Grand Slam, just the magnitude at his age of having a chance to complete that.
He has that intangible of when he doesn't have his best stuff, like at Hartford, the back nine, to still find a way to win. And when you say put your finger on it, you can't really say, well, it's this or it's that. It's just that indescribable trait that he has to find a way to get it done, find the will to win. And he showed it again at the Open, and he continues to show it. When you get him near the lead, he's extremely tough to beat because he just finds a way to get it out. It's just that intangible that's hard to describe, but you can see it.
Yeah, he's a special guy. I mean, he's won some events, really showing some grit. The U.S. Open he won. He got a bit fortunate with what happened with DJ on the 18th green. But the way he won the Masters and at the Open, a couple of weeks ago, it's just special stuff. You can't really describe it, as Phil says, but it's there. The guy finds a way of getting it done. And, he's not the longest hitter out there. He's not the most accurate, so forth, but he's got an overall game that he's really comfortable with. He's not trying to get more length out of the tee ball, but he's playing his game and he's really grinding it out. And that's a great way to win golf tournaments.
Karen?
This is a question for both of you. Last week, Jordan said that he can play this week freely because with any luck, he'll have 30 more of these. And I'm wondering, Phil, in the 99 U.S. Open, when you got second, I'm sure you were thinking the same thing. And Ernie, at the 95 PGA, after playing 3 brilliant rounds, you're probably thinking, well, this is just a small setback. How do you take that balance between not putting too much pressure on yourself and yet feeling urgency that maybe the window isn't as big as it appears?
Well, I mean, when you start out, in your 20s, you're pretty green and you're pretty confident. And as Phil said, I had the same dream to win all 4. These guys, not everything's going to go your way. I mean, even the greatest, Jack Nicklaus, I think he's got the most top 3s of any other player, and he won the most majors. So just to almost get yourself in that position and keep doing it. You know, you're going to have some that's going to, you know, fall away, but you keep putting yourself in there, you know, you're going to win your fair share. So, I mean, that's the only way you can look at it. You got to just keep grinding and almost not even think about how many you want to win, what you want to do. You just kind of just go out there and put yourself in position.
Cool. That's good. All right. Thank you both for your time, and again, congratulations on reaching this terrific plateau. We have a little special prize for you here at the end, so everybody stick around if you'd like a little cake.
Cake. It's against our diet.